Welcome back to another amazing episode of LaQuita's Toolbox Live. I am your host, LaQuita Monley, and it is a thankful Thursday on today, everyone. And I hope that each of you had a fantastic day on today. And for those of you that are tuning in with us for the first time, welcome to LaQuita's Toolbox Live. Please remember to hit those like, share, and subscribe buttons. Ring that notification bell so that you will receive notifications when we're dropping new episodes every week. And on today, we have a great guest with us, Mr. Mitch Carson. He is indeed a media maven. He is an expert in media. And today, he's going to be blessing us with some tools for our toolbox to help us get a better understanding how strategic media position can help build our brands, and not only how it can do that, but also tips, tools, and strategies on how to get that media. So listen, if you've been with us before, you know the drill. Get something to write with and something to write on, because you don't want to miss any of these great gems. We will be right back with Mr. Mitch Carson. You guys stay tuned for a quick commercial. Welcome. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, LaQuita.
Thanks for being on the show, Mitch. Thanks for being on the show. We had a great time in our original podcast interview, and I know that you are going to be giving us some great tools on today. And so I know we got started just a few minutes late. So, as they would say in the church, we won't tarry any time. We're going to go ahead and get started. If you could, for those of you that are, for those viewers in the LaQuita's Toolbox audience that may not know who you are, could you go ahead and let us know who you are and some of the fabulous work that you've done?
Well, my name is Mitch Carson. And how do you know that my name is Mitch Carson? Because it's written right on my microphone. It says, sure. It's a different spelling, but it is who I am. I have traveled the world as a professional speaker, I've been on platforms in 63 countries, have been a radio show host, TV presenter on a channel called Home Shopping Network out of Florida in the 90s. I'm an NBC TV host here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And my area of expertise and what I can share about is how to get on television, how to use books to leverage your credibility, and other information that I believe will be helpful to an audience who's looking for distinction in the marketplace. And I have been a speaker. I'm going to reveal how old I am. I think I started when I was 1 year old, but I've been on the
Whoa.
platform for 40 years. So I've been at this a long time. And I believe, it's interesting. I was accused of being intelligent yesterday by somebody close to me. And she said, why do you know so much? I largely believe it's because I am a great student, and the
Mm,
best teachers are the best students. And I've traveled the world because seeing other cultures, experiencing other perspectives, being open minded has allowed me to expand what exists between my right ear and my left ear. And I don't know how you feel about that, LaQuita, but I do believe travel has been the key to my success in life and understanding how people think and tick all around the world. Because if you've only lived in a small town in small town USA, shopping on Main Street and going to school on First Street, your thinking is going to be confined to just that area. Whereas expanding how you think and listening with both ears, not just one, because God gave us two ears and one mouth. And if you use both ears simultaneously, you tend to learn more than people that are just talking.
I could not agree more. Um, we were blessed to be able to travel to different states, different countries through my husband's military career. And I found out that everything you just said is absolutely correct. And that's not just true for Americans, that's true for any person. When we are stuck in our community, in our state, in our city, in our country, we tend to have a very linear view, and it's very black and white, and there's no gray when everything is gray. My family and I learned to think that different, not wrong. Just because someone doesn't do something the way that we do it, or do it as Americans do it, they're not wrong. That's their culture. That's the way they think, that's the way they do business. That's the way they cultivate relationships, build friendships, the way they do business. So you're absolutely right. If we continue to think only in terms of who we are as an American man or woman, as an American that, like you said, lives in small town USA, for that matter, big city USA, and we never expose ourselves to other cultures in their culture, right? Like other people's culture. You can go to big cities and find melting pots of cultures, but usually people have conformed a little bit to being an American within, but bringing their culture to America. When you travel to other countries and people are absolutely free to be them, we learn so much. We learn so much, and it
Tremendously.
changes. Absolutely. Absolutely. It
Well, and
changes the way
you
that.
said it. Even other than American people learn this. I can tell a story that's firsthand. I was writing. I got invited to write a biography of the religious leader of Pakistan some years ago, and the project got stalled because of the pandemic. I haven't been back there since. I was invited to go to an Islamic university, and those, and there are feelings about people of that faith versus our faith, or this faith or that faith. I don't want to get into a religious discussion. I want to get into a thinking discussion, and how people think is shaped by their environment. And I was invited to come and have dinner with all these scholars of the Islamic faith in Peshawar, Pakistan, which is where, let's just say, it's a hotbed of what we would perceive as extremism. And I had a discussion with the director, or the head master of this institution, all men, all in that mindset. And they said that they're academics. I said, "Oh, what have you read beyond the Holy Quran?" And they said, "Everything I need in my life is enclosed in the Holy Quran." And I said, "Well, isn't it interesting that the Quran," because I read it cover to cover myself, because I can't talk about something unless I'm educated about it. That's my view. So I read the book cover to cover to understand it, how they think, so I can relate to them better. The Holy Bible is referred to, I think, over 60 times in the Holy Quran. I said, wouldn't it be great to learn about the Bible? "Oh, no, everything I need is in the Holy Quran." I said, "Have you read any other books? Any books on Buddhism, Hinduism, Shintoism, any Taoism, any of the other major religions?" "Oh, no, everything is in the Holy Quran." And he started to get upset with these questions. So I backed off immediately, since I was the only non-Muslim around about 600 men with big beards, and they looked scary, and they started to turn on me. And I realized, okay, I better shut up. I'm already different because I'm American, and I'm not one of them. So I backed off. And it's not their fault. It's, if they haven't been exposed beyond this, how can they think be outside of what the blinders are on? Like with horses in a race, they have these big blinders. And if you
Mhm,
don't retract those blinders, they can't see the horses to the either side of them. That's why they
mhm.
run straight ahead, and
Yes.
not seeing the whole world out there.
Right. 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 So you like that can be a whole podcast in and of itself,
Oh, I
because I have
know.
so much to say about that.
You
Like,
travel.
I mean,
You get it. You get it,
yeah,
Laquita.
absolutely. Because I found that, in my journey as a believer,
Mhm.
even though I know that I'm not going to convert to any other way of life, any other religion, I'm going to be a Christian until the day I draw my last breath. In
Okay.
order for me to effectively understand people, I have to know them. In order for me to effectively understand why people worship who they worship and those things of that nature, I need to understand that. Um, and that just again, it began to change my perspective. I need to spend time with people of those various different faith systems. And so that opportunity that you had to go and to Pakistan is an amazing opportunity. And I know that you learned a lot and you came
Tons.
and when coming back, I know one of the things that you mentioned was helping authors to position themselves. And you just recently went on a trip to Asia. And so that trip, back in 2020 had to be something that became really effective for you as you continue to travel throughout the Middle East and Asia. Because I want to say when we first met, you had just come back from Dubai or Abu Dhabi or something like that. You do a lot of work with people in other
I've
nations.
been around the world multiple
Yeah,
times, so I've
yeah.
seen a lot, and I got to tell you, the thinking, my thinking and mindset changed when I was exposed to other
Mm,
cultures and belief systems. I think
mhm,
I'm a stronger, more well-rounded individual because
mm,
America comprises 4% of the world's population. And
mm.
to my surprise, America is not the center of the universe. Just simply
American
isn't.
to a lot of American surprise. I remember living living and being in America my entire life until 2010.
Okay.
I'd experienced a lot of isms, sexism,
Mm.
racism, various different things, classism, but I never experienced any ism concerning my nationality, like the country that I'm from, until my family got on a plane to go to America. I mean, to go to England.
Oh,
And in that
yes. Oh, yes.
on that plane ride, it was so different. I had to laugh. I couldn't process it with anger. It's like, wow, that's different. They didn't really care that I was black. Didn't really care that I was a woman.
No.
Their beef is because I'm American.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh, I
let's
agree. I
process
got that too.
right. And so that helped me to understand the plight of other migrants, of other immigrants, or whatever term you want to use, or of other expats living abroad. As Americans, we tend to have a jaundiced view of non-Americans, and
Yeah.
we think the center of attention and we are the right thing, and we're gonna be the super police and make everything all things in the world correct. Well, other people don't feel like that, and they don't
Well,
like us because of that.
no,
That
they
I
don't.
had
The first
to change
time
that a lot.
I was in England, I was in
Mm,
England. I don't know how you felt. I had never, it was my first time leaving the country when I was 18. I backpacked across Europe. I was 18 years old with my friend at a bar, and I ordered a drink, and this Brit heard me order my pint, as they refer to it. And
mhm,
he turned to me, this British guy or English guy, and he said, "Oh, you're American, are you?" And I said, "Yes. How's it going?" He said, "Oh, you're a colonial. We own you." I said, "Own me?" And I said,
mhm.
"What are you talking about?" I said, "From my recollection, if history serves me, we kicked your butts out in 1776, and I don't know what happened to you, but we're not owning you anymore. And frankly, if it weren't for the Americans, you'd be speaking German, dude. Think about
Yeah,
World War II. You'd be
right,
eating, yeah, you'd be driving a Volkswagen and paying tribute to Hitler." So I said, "I think you need to back off about that." And we almost got
right.
into a scrap right there.
Yeah,
So it's interesting how they perceived us. And I met different type of nationalism when I went to France. I didn't
mhm,
get treated real well. It's like, wait a minute, you too
mhm.
would be speaking German if the Americans hadn't marched in. But that was a long time ago, and I had to learn about why that was what it was.
Was what it was, and, and that still prevails today, not just in
Yeah.
our country, but in other countries around the world, and that's something that we still have to keep in the forefront of our mind when we're building our brands, and we're saying, "Oh,
Yes.
I wanna be a global brand." Okay. You wanna be a global brand, you want global visibility. Do you understand the way that the customers in the nations that you wanna reach, do you understand them? Do you understand how your marketing and your brand positioning needs to be different? Because the things that make noise and sell and Americans are attracted to might not work in Australia, might not work in England, France,
Oh, I learned
Germany.
that the hard way.
Yes, exactly. So wanting to be a global brand is absolutely fantastic. But what are doing right now to prepare to be able to do that? And I think working with someone like yourself, or learning from someone like yourself that has a global brand that shows up in many nations, and the years of experience is valuable for the Toolbox audience.
No, I get you. And the first time I spoke in Australia, George W. Bush was in office. And
Mm,
before I took the stage to speak there, because I was talking about personal branding and all this, my very first time speaking in Melbourne, Australia. I just flown in, took a shower in my room, came down. I was up next on stage. And the promoter pulled me aside and said, Mitch, how are you going to deal with the fact that you're an American? I said, I can't change who I am, bud. I am American. Listen to my accent. It's real. And he didn't chuckle. He said, "Well, they hate you, mate." I said, "Hate me? Why?" "Well, your politics, mate." I said, "First of all, I don't want to mate, and second, I don't. I'm not a politician. Who's in office has nothing to do with me.
right.
I mean, I had a vote along with 300 million plus other Americans who voted." I said, I didn't, I don't have any choice. I'm a business guy. I'm here to talk about marketing and branding. And he said, "Well, what are
Hmm.
you going to do to break the ice?" I said, "I'll figure it out." I had to take the stage 5 minutes later. And this is the only time this ever happened, Laquita, in my 40 plus years on the platform. I had a standing ovation before I took and got the stage and got into my presentation because I said the following. I want you
Mm,
all to understand my name is Mitch Carson, but before we begin, I want to let you know I did not vote for George W. Bush. They all stood up and applauded because this was right around the time when he sent in the troops to Baghdad.
hmm.
And a lot of Australian troops had to accompany because it was Allied forces, had to send
Hmm.
their troops to accompany the Americans to that particular war, and
Mm,
they weren't happy. The sentiment was very anti-American at that point. I had one of
yes.
the best selling days ever because I bridged that cultural gap
Hmm.
immediately by saying, "Hey, look, I didn't do this. Accept me for who I am. Get value out of what I'm going to share with you today." And that let's set politics aside because I don't participate in that, and I had no say in if whether troops were sent to Iraq or not. I mean, that isn't
Right.
my I don't have
That's not
any
right.
influence
We
or
have no
persuasion.
control over that. Right,
That's
right.
way
No,
above my pay grade, Laquita.
above all of ours, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really good. Thank you for sharing that experience because again, with the with Zoom and all of the other virtual spaces that small business owners, creators, speakers, coaches have the ability to be able to speak to predominantly foreign audiences, helping them to understand how to break the ice, or the fact that breaking the ice is necessary, um, is important. Or even when they're depending on what they're writing their book on, and how they're once they finish writing it, how are they marketing it? Like, how can you speak to that when it comes to marketing a book to become an international bestseller and to do well in other countries? What does that look like from a marketing standpoint?
Well, it's massive action.
Mm,
And it's plan it, execute on the plan, measure what worked, what didn't work, and continue working with what does work. A
mhm,
book is something you have to breathe life into.
okay.
And there are different components of book writing. One is establishing what you're going to write about. Is there a market for what you're going to write about? Writing quality content. And the biggest, most important, and most neglected aspect of becoming an author is the execution of the marketing plan, the publicity that goes with it. Because if you
Mhm,
relax and think, I mean, I'll give you an example. When I was in college, this is how long ago it was, we used to write our term papers by hand. And I wrote it and it felt, oh gosh, I'm done. I don't want to go through and proofread this thing after I've just handwritten 16 pages for an assignment. and I would hand that off to a typing service that was across the street from the university and pay a typist that used whiteout and erasable, and that's how papers got produced. And I didn't proofread it, and I hoped for the best until I discovered the difference between an A and an A minus is doing the extra work, taking the time to proofread what I wrote, because I can make mistakes, can miss a comma, miss a colon, all of this from what I wrote maybe poorly. I don't have the world's best handwriting. So it's my responsibility to earn whatever grades I got or were on my report card in college, in high school, in graduate school. All of that responsibility was mine. And until I went the extra mile to ensure that I earned a great grade. The same holds true for a book. You just can't write it and expect your first draft to be a masterpiece. You're not James Patterson. I guarantee you a big time author, and I've read several of her books, of Maya Angelou to whomever else, had proofreaders, editors, and got it to where it was an excellent manuscript. And then
Mhm.
the real work began. The
Mm.
real work began. If your husband was military, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. He wouldn't have gotten into, I don't know what division he was in or what have you, but if they're going into battle, they're well prepared long after boot camp. I think they get prepared, and that's the beginning. But the real test is when you're in the mix of things. And that's
Mhm.
where you learn and grow the most.
Absolutely.
For an author, it's all about the execution of the marketing. Are you ready to get on television? Are you media trained? Are you ready to get on LaQuita's podcast and provide a great interview, or as a guest? Are
Right.
you ready? You've got to plan, plan, plan. And I think it was Thomas Edison that said, it's 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration.
Mm. That's facts. That's so true. Now
Yes,
you mentioned
ideas
something.
are rampant. Yes,
Yes. That
perspiration is the actual work. Do you
is the
think
work.
you're Steph Curry? And do you think do you think he puts in the hard work to be the greatest, probably the greatest shooter of all time? He
Mm.
put in the work. Michael
He put
Jordan
in the
put in
work.
the work.
He put in
Put
the
in the
work.
work. Gotta put in the work. All of these people who are greats at their field. Larry Bird became a great basketball player because he put in the work. I'm probably using older legends, so I'll get a little more. Steph Curry is still current, so I'll
Right.
just use
But
that as
still
an
legends.
example.
But they're still
You gotta
legends,
do the
right?
work.
You have to do the work. You mentioned something there when you said media trained. Talk to
Yes.
the audience about that. What is being media trained, and how does one do that? Like, how can they become media trained?
All right. So for example, we're doing a live cast today. This is an audience of people that are listening to us. They'll listen to the replay later. It's more casual. When you are on television, network television, ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, CW, any of those major networks, multi-million dollar for profit networks, you better know how to answer questions in sound bites, be on point, and not ramble. You need to be ready for the questions that you're going to be asked when you're interviewed, because the standard format, other than a talk show, let's say a long talk show, if you're there for the full hour or half hour of a talk show and you are a major, major celebrity, which most of the people aren't, present company included, we're celebrities in our own markets, that's fine. But when you're interviewed for a segment inside a major network, you have on average 2.5 minutes to 4 minutes to speak your message, to convey your message concisely, on point, in sound bites. And getting ready to answer those questions is part of your media training. What are they looking for? If they ask you a question and you start with, yeah, right, and your eyes go off into outer space, or, you answer with an, all of those verbal tics need to be removed from your vocabulary. And going through mock interviews is important. Getting prepared for airing. You just can't walk in and think, okay, I'm a good talker because my mother told me I was. That doesn't set you up for network television. It's a different platform. Podcasts are more relaxed. This particular interview that we're doing, or discussion layout, this is casual. We're kind of going back and forth, commenting each other. This is a live cast, different format. But for network television, it's all about they have to move after your brief segment of planned questions. They've got to move to their commercial advertisers to pay the bills. They're a for-profit organization. I've said that several times. They must make money. They have shareholders. Completely different mindset. So when I say media trained, you've got to go through the process of being questioned and answering, getting coaching, improving. And remember, is gone forever. Right. Ending your comment with a right. I want to say left when people say right. No, it's left. Why do you say right? It's also demeaning to say right at the end of a sentence because you're asking me to agree with you when I may not agree with you. Let me make my own judgment.
That's
That's
real good. So,
yeah.
as the people are hearing this right now, um,
Mhm.
what are some of the things that we can do to start to practice this? You mentioned practice interviews.
Yes.
Um, does that include coaching? Does that include what does that include? How can a person begin to prepare themselves so that then when they're connected with somebody such as yourself to get on major networks, they're ready? What can they start to do now?
If someone were to become a client, let's just say
Mhm,
somebody out of this listening group found what I share with you is interesting, they become interested in learning more, they
mhm,
sign up, I guarantee TV placement. My reputation is on the line, not just
mm,
with NBC where I air myself, but with the other
mhm.
channels that I know all the producers on a first name basis. And if I
Okay.
bring a guest, present to them and say, this person is ready. John Jones is here. He's in the green room, ready, prepared, media trained. Here's his topic. Here's his book, or not. What's unique
Mhm,
about him? How are they positioned? What's their hook such that the audience will resonate with his message?
mhm.
They'll take my word because no one have I brought to them has failed
Ah,
until they're
good.
vetted by me. We must go through a rehearsal, sometimes several times.
Mm,
How do you get your voice out? How do you sit? Is there a component of meditation before you sit on TV? Because it can be overwhelming and scary for
mhm.
someone who's never been in front of 3 to 6 big cameras with live camera operators observing them. This is live television with thousands of viewers potentially.
Mhm.
And I had a show on CNN in the Philippines when I lived in Asia. That was taped to live. It was never live, it was taped to live.
Okay.
Yet they wouldn't allow anything to air on their network unless it met their standard.
That's good.
Yeah, there's a
That's
standard. Obviously, it can't be cursing. There, nothing pornographic, or they had different restrictions. The
mhm,
franchise that I did business with in Manila was the CNN Philippines. They bought a
mm.
franchise from the central office in Atlanta.
Okay.
It had
Okay.
to adhere to their standards, so people need to be ready, and it's quite different than being on a podcast where
When I'm
the
being on a
standards are much looser.
That's really good information. Listen, I got several more questions about this,
Fire
but
away.
let's take a quick commercial break because we do have to pay
Okay.
the bills. So
Oh,
we'll
yeah,
be
I
right back.
understand. Pay bills.
Gotta pay the bills.
Your business, career, and mindset to the next level? Then it's time to join the conversation on LaQuita's Toolbox. Whether you're an entrepreneur, leader, or someone just looking to level up, this show is packed with powerful insights and real strategies to help you succeed. Imagine yourself here, sharing your story, your expertise, and making a real impact with an audience ready to grow and thrive. With LaQuita's Toolbox, you'll be inspired, empowered, and part of an incredible community that's all about winning. This is your moment. Don't miss the opportunity to be a guest on LaQuita's Toolbox. Unlock new doors, connect with like-minded professionals, and elevate your brand to new heights. Ready to make your mark? Head over to www.laquitamonley.com, LaQuita's Toolbox, and sign up to be a guest today.
Awesome. Welcome back to another amazing episode of LaQuita's Toolbox Live. I am your host, LaQuita Monley, and we have the amazing Mitch Carson in studio with us today. And he is giving us some gems and strategies on how to be prepared for TV. How to be prepared for major media networks such as NBC, CNN, and the rest. So before the break, we were talking about media training and what that is and what it looks like and what we can do. And one of the things Mitch mentioned was practice interviews and getting rid of the filler words, not having them in your conversation. So in the podcast community, we can take the filler words out with an AI tool or with a good sound engineer. We could take the filler words out. But if you are on live TV, you can't remove those filler words. So we have to be able to articulate ourselves in a way that is concise, to the point, uh, where the audience understands what you're saying, your CTA, without the filler words. And that can be more difficult than you think. So, Mitch, on average, when you're working with a client, how long does it take for them to be able to flow through those mock interviews without having all of those filler words?
Most would be within an hour, would fall within
Mm,
the hour on because I zing them on the spot. It's almost like using a rubber band that's on your wrist and you snap it. I have them snap themselves every time they say, right, like's the other one. Oh, it's like this and like that and like that. Oh my God, you sound like a teenager. Stop it. Just stop it and zing yourself. Snap it. And when you see yourself in a recording, you're the harshest judge ever. You will self correct when you see yourself on video. You'll improve instantly because you'll cringe when you see yourself saying, right, like, or you should do this. All of those are unacceptable. And it's a better language. It's better language spoken when you omit those words. And it usually takes about an hour going through
okay.
this and watching the recording. And most people improve and never go back.
Mm,
Once we
that's
find, yes, it's an improvement because most people don't record themselves or take the time to review the recording and have somebody that understands the communication process, and you'll sound
mhm,
more intelligent. Because if you talk to Pixie Trixie, who says like and chewing gum with her mouth open, uh, tacky, doesn't look
mm,
good, doesn't help with your personal brand. And the key to getting interviewed on TV is not to be there just one time, it's to then be invited back as a subject matter expert. To leverage that communication that you did so well, you get invited into other markets because they talk. I'm here in Las
mm,
Vegas. It's the number one entertainment city in the world. It's not the
mhm,
biggest market in the world in terms of media, yet it's a great place for people to cut their teeth and learn how to be interviewed effectively because then you can get to the major leagues, and the major leagues would be LA, and the biggest, the All-Star game is New York. That's the
mm,
ultimate. I know you live in
right.
Texas, Dallas probably being the biggest city, and then followed by Houston. Those markets are probably second to then the big market. Of course, the ultimate, the home run is New York,
Is New York.
then
Okay.
LA, and then the rest. Probably Atlanta, Chicago, maybe Dallas. They're all subordinate, but if you level up, so Las Vegas is where I take people, guarantee them television coverage here on at least 4 networks, and using that footage to then be eligible to get in on a show in Atlanta, big market, maybe LA. But to get in front of a producer in New York without any
Mhm.
clips showing that you are, in fact, a legitimate expert, have a book, can be trusted when that live television camera turns on, no producer in New York is going to risk her career if someone hasn't been proven. They
Mhm.
simply won't do it.
Mm.
And for
That
good
makes
reason.
sense. Yes,
Yeah,
that makes
you don't go swing the bat on the New York Yankees unless you've been proven in the minor leagues. They don't take a
right.
chance for you. It's just they
Right.
just don't. You don't play in the NBA without going through college. And most, I mean, the rare exception, of course, was LeBron and Kobe,
Mhm.
but they are very extreme exceptions. Most people got to play college ball before you jump into the NBA. That's how it
Mhm.
is in television. That's how it is to get covered in Forbes. Writing have you what writing examples can you show me such that I will look at your submission today? They want proof of concept,
Mhm.
rightfully so.
Rightfully so. Yes.
Rightfully so.
Absolutely. And so you take your clients on this journey, getting the media ready, um, helping them to understand how to give quality interviews that will open the door for them in major markets around the country. You also help your clients either conceptualize their book and get them to the status of a international best-selling
Yes.
author, or
Yes.
if they, what if they come to you and they already have a book and just want to represent it to the world?
Well, it's all of the marketing because if it's dead, it's dead. Let's breathe some life into it again.
Mhm.
So it's just a matter of taking a deep inhale, exhaling, and blowing life into it. And that's all the marketing. Remember the example I gave earlier, the inspiration, perspiration. It requires work. It's
It
not
requires work.
easy, but it's totally doable once you know the path to success. Old books,
Mm,
because the average book that is self published produces about 250 copies, largely comprised of people's friends, families, and people that may have bought it organically, but selling books is hard without a plan. Becoming a bestseller without a plan is a pipe dream. It's delusional thinking. You must have a
right.
plan, a with a lot of components involved in it. It's a plan. It's not throw it up. Oh, just like the paper example, I wrote my term paper, didn't want to proofread it. I just hope for an A. Doesn't work like that. You can't hope for a bestseller. It simply doesn't happen unless you,
Mm,
in fact, are a major known celebrity. If
mhm.
Oprah wrote a book, regardless of the content, it would be a bestseller because she is a major celebrity. Major
Yes, of course.
celebrity. If, President Trump wrote a book because of who he is, I mean, he wouldn't put something out, nor would Oprah of poor quality simply because they want to maintain brand congruency and they've got staff members that'll check it for them. But the
Right.
average Joe or Jane doesn't have their celebrity cachet. They just
Mm.
don't.
So,
Most
in what
aren't.
order would you recommend your clients to do this? Would you recommend them um, to work with you with media training and media placement coming out to Las Vegas? Or would you recommend they start with the book and then have the book with them when they come to Vegas?
Well, there are a few ways to get booked on television. The
Okay.
easiest way for me is there are 3 ways. One is to have a book because everybody has a unique thumbprint. We've been told that, and that's FBI verified. My thumbprint will never match yours, and it won't match my neighbor's. So we do have uniqueness. Your book is your thumbprint. You are unique because of your book. So that is a vehicle to get somebody on television. That is my hook and uniqueness. Oh, LaQuita just wrote this book on how to integrate faith, celebrity into some of the alternative networks of building your personal brand and coming from the heart. That's her
Mm.
book. I just made that up, but it's probably not too far off. So if
I
you
like.
did that and being a military wife and the lessons I learned traveling the globe, being the spouse to a military officer or what have you, and
Mhm.
understanding cultures, a lot of what we spoke about in the first 10 minutes related to that. That in
Right.
itself could be a topic. So those are a few potential book topics for you, because people live vicariously through the stories that are shared by others. So
Mm.
what's your story? Second, if you don't have a book, and you being an African American woman, in April in America, Black Women's History Month, not
Mm.
just Black History Month, there's Black Women's History
History
Month.
month. Yes.
Easy for me to follow what is called an editorial calendar, a
Mm.
media calendar. Even if you hadn't if you have not written a book and you happen to be melanated like yourself, it would be
Mhm.
easy for me to get you booked in April than it would be in January.
Okay. Okay. That makes
So,
sense.
because of your ethnicity, I could get you booked as an example in that during that month.
Mhm.
Alternatively, if you're each month has a variety of topics. If you had
Mhm.
tips on being a great mother, here's what I learned being a mother to, I don't know how many kids you have. Uh,
5.
you have 5 kids. What I learned,
5 kids
lessons
and 9
learned,
grandkids.
mother of five fantastic, well-adjusted, successful children. I don't know where they are or what ages they are, but let's assume that that's the case.
Yes.
During the month of Mother's Day, which I think is May, isn't it?
Mhm.
Mother's Day is in May. May is Mother's Day.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I could get you booked simply being a mother because you've written articles about this in your local journal, or you've talked about it on your popular podcast. That would also be a media calendar event. Or if you had something related to being a proud American and you've come up with a great American dishes that can be used in barbecues, that would be
Mhm.
in July,
Mm.
because that celebrates our American. Or if you've got holiday gift ideas, something around Halloween, which is cultural, that follows a
Mm.
media calendar. Third
Right.
way to get on TV, one is book, second is media calendar based on what's happening that month. If you can tie it to ethnicity, that would be an advantage for you during Black Women's History Month, or during Black History Month, which I think is January. Was it? I don't remember which. I think
Black History.
January. Yeah,
It's next month.
January. So that could be man or woman of melanation. Then
Right. Right.
you look at the third way to get on television or to get in front of the media, because writers and or booking agents and producers need to follow that, because that's what people are looking for. Remember, it's not about you, it's what their viewers and listeners are looking for.
Looking for. Okay.
Understanding that mindset will prepare you better for success
Mhm.
and minimize potential failure. So if you
Okay.
came in the third way, 2 years ago, the world changed dramatically through something
Mm.
called ChatGPT. Since
Yes.
then, AI has taken off like a rocket ship. So if you can piggyback on what is called news jacking, which is piggybacking on a news cycle, or in a new trend, which is AI, if you've got a new system to use AI to do X, Y, and Z, guess what? They're going to feature you. If you are
Mm.
the greatest AI expert and have a book to match it, and you have media experience, easy to get you placed today.
Right.
Corporations are thirsty for AI expertise.
Mhm.
That's news jacking. It's in the news. I produced events on ChatGPT in Las Vegas. I sold out in 4 days a room of 300 people when I spoke on ChatGPT. We were the first to create a live in-person event on ChatGPT in early 2000, I think it was 2023 or 2023. And it was easy. And I had 263 people that consumed the information, the one-day event on a on a Zoom channel that were out in the lobby because we had no room left in the conference room. There were no seats left. People were so eager to learn about it because we were new and cutting edge. So I
Mm,
really did well for that event because it was timely, it was new, and way beyond trending.
right, right. Wow, that's fantastic. So what I hear you saying is every month has a theme, if we say it like that, and
Media
depending
calendar.
on a media calendar. So on that media calendar, depending upon the individual that you're working with, where they fit at the months that are featuring or their themes is related to that person, it is easier to get them the media because they fit what the network is looking for because that's what the viewers are looking for.
100% correct. What I'll do for your listeners is I'll send you a media calendar that I've created so you can
Okay.
dispense that to them and share it with them, if that'll be helpful.
Awesome. Yes, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I have one
Absolutely.
written out that I can gift to you because we follow it. I use it
Mm,
as my go-to tool. I mean, you're all about
mhm.
Toolbox, so this will be another
Yes.
tool in LaQuita's Toolbox that you can hand to your listeners. My gift, no problem. And that will
Thank you so.
be available inside LaQuita's Toolbox. I don't know all the tools you have in your toolbox, but I'm sure there are many. So now you got one more, LaQuita.
Well, we definitely appreciate you for that amazing gift. Listen, Mitch, the
Yeah.
gems you are dropping, it's not like, oh my God, that's in the stratosphere, like a concept way out there. It's
No.
really easy, really simple, but having someone to partner with to guide you through these things helps you reach your goals better. And so, what I want us to do, because our time is winding down,
Okay.
I wish
Sure.
I had an opportunity to let the audience know how can they reach you? How can they connect with you?
Well, if anybody is interested in getting on TV in Las Vegas, the service site, this is my business because I live here in Las Vegas, they can go to www.getinterviewedguaranteed.com/meet with Mitch. My name is Mitch. Getinterviewedguaranteed.com/meet with Mitch. Please use the www in front of it, and that'll take you right to my calendar link so we can set up a call and see if I'm a fit to help you with growing your personal brand using live TV as its vehicle.
Awesome. And we will put that link in the chat, in the
Okay.
comments, as well as in the show notes. So don't worry if you're just like, oh, he went so fast, I can't write it down. One, you can rewind because it's a podcast, it's a live stream. Two, check the notes. Check the show notes for the link, and you may find that there's also the link there to that free the media calendar. So two helpful things in one. So listen, Mitch, it has been awesome, awesome, awesome speaking with you again as always, and I look forward um, to more collaborative opportunities with us and you coming back and visiting us again here at the Toolbox. But before we leave, is there anything else that you would like to leave with the Toolbox audience today?
Remember 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. There is no easy way to get to Oz. You got to march down the yellow brick road. And getting down that yellow brick road to meet the wizard takes one step at a time. Don't be overwhelmed with the journey. Be in love with the process of taking one step at a time down this, I'll change it, gold brick road, one that's
Yeah.
filled with cougarans for you to pick it up and get to meet the wizard. And when you meet the wizard, it may not be what you think it will be, but you'll
Mm,
learn along this long gold road to get to creating your own success. And you are accountable for your success.
awesome. You are accountable for your success. That's some powerful tools there. Thank you again so much, Mitch, for coming on and blessing our audience with these fabulous tools on strategic media positioning, what that means and how we can do it. So, listen, Toolbox audience. Until next time, I am your host, LaQuita Monley. You guys be blessed and have an amazing rest of your evening. Take care.
Bye.